Wondering what life is really like on Canada's wild and crazy West Coast? This podcast is all about the people, the places, and Vancouver Island time. Together, we'll explore this island paradise, a combination of ocean, city, and country living. We'll meet the fabulous locals such as the Fudge Fairy and the Chicken Lady, who have chosen Victoria and Vancouver Island as their home. And we'll learn what makes this place unique and special to those who live here. And now, your host of Vancouver Island Time, Jane Johnston.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Cabosin and host of Vancouver Island Time. I'm here with Sophie Lecavalier, who is a renowned baby photographer, and she's also been doing some work on branding. But first, we're going to talk about the area in which you live, which is Cordova Bay area. So we're just east of Broadmead. We're north of the city, and you're right near the beach. So how long have you lived here?
We arrived in 2008 from Nova Scotia, and we moved in with our in-laws. They are in Gordon Head, and we were in a real rush to find a home. We had our belongings that were already on their way, so we had a very short time to find a house. And we really enjoyed the space that we had in Nova Scotia. And so we didn't want something too close to one another. We visited maybe 20 different houses. And this one we fell in love with a lot. It's only after we realized all the gems that were in this particular area. But this yard was a bit of a secret garden, very abandoned, very overgrown. And the house was really a wreck. But my husband had already built up our house in Nova Scotia, so he had a lot of tools. So we were very, very fortunate, but it was a huge fixer-upper in a good neighborhood. Location, right?
Location.
I was with Air Canada, and my husband with the regional. So he was with Air Nova, and then he got bought out, and so he became it was Air BC when he was transferred here. So we were with the airlines. And they were closing out Nova Scotia base. So we had a choice between Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver bases. And Rob's parents were here. So we thought, every time we visited, we're like, how can we make Victoria work? We can't afford it, but could we make it work? And so when they closed the base, it was like, we're never going to have this opportunity again to try. So
same for me. So I came out to teach one summer in 1995, and I thought, how can I stay there? I tell everybody this story. And then every summer for 3 years, for 3 weeks, I would stay and just fell in love, and then managed the fourth year to apply to UVic and leave of absence to go back to school. So do you, tell me about the location, actually.
Yeah, so one of the first few things we realized is just across the street, there's Darcy Road, and it has an access to the beach. And there's this secret little gem of a beach that is super long and very quiet. It's almost just local residents that seem to come and visit, and some of the patrons of the McMorrans, which is now the beach house, that are on the beach. So it's very, very big beach, and it's very quiet. So there's a lot of wild local flora and fauna. There's eagles and deers and all kinds of things that are just hanging on the beach because it's so quiet. And the tide pulls out, which we only found out a little bit later, enough that there's this little lagoon that's about a foot deep that warms up. That was so amazing for the kids because it was safe, it was warm, and it had all this wildlife in it. And so we definitely spent all our summers on that beach.
So, and of course, it's not deep enough for them to have trouble navigating as young children, so it's a good place to bring kids.
Exactly. It's definitely at least a mile of 1 foot deep pool of wonderful warm ocean water. And it lasts all from about an hour to 3 hours at the most before the tide starts kind of drowning you out from that little safe island. So the kids would walk there and just kind of walk through and find crabs and pick them up, look at them, put them back. And even Gabriel's quite the fisherman. He'd just catch fish. He was just swimming by and he'd just catch fish with his hands. It was really peaceful because you could just sit there and let the kids do whatever, and you can see it's. But don't tell anyone about it.
I was just going to say the secret's out.
No, it's a wonderful place, and a few more people are getting to know about it. But the low tide days, the thing is, Victoria is filled with amazing beaches. So I don't think we have too much to protect it because there's, down the street and around the corners is another awesome beach. So, but low tide is quite exceptional.
Actually, one of the best photos I ever took was, and this was going back maybe 10 or 12 years ago, was of a sailboat right off Cordova Bay, right at McMorran's. Just absolutely stunning in the morning.
It really is. We have sunrise, and so if it pays to get up early. And for a while there, I was walking my kids to the bus stop around 7:30, and in fall, sunrise was definitely something to look forward to. And I've seen that boat, and it's almost like it's placed there artfully just for photographers, and a few buoys, and it's quiet. There's just not much going on, and it's different every day. So just a spectacular nature opportunity there.
Well, actually, the guy phoned me up because I put it in an advertisement about when you want to move to Victoria. And then he called me up and he said, "Can I have that picture?"
That's so fun. Yeah, clamoring for your excellent photography. Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
You take amazing photographs. You can see some of them behind us. Okay, so we'll get to that a little bit later. What about Mount Doug? Do you ever go up there?
Yeah, Mount Doug is our big fitness effort. So the boys and I were my husband started to lose weight for a while. He had back trouble, so we all got together as a family and we made it a weekly habit to climb up Mount Doug. So you can either access it from the Mount Doug Beach and Park closer to Shelburne, and you can access it on Blenkinsop. And either way, it was a bit of a steep climb. And the first time I think we did it, it was slow going. I think it took us 40, maybe 50 minutes of hard panting. And within a couple of months, my husband was doing it in 21 minutes and super proud and touching the post at the top. And the boys were having races and they were leaving me in their dust. But it's just a lovely walk. In spring, there's those big yellow broom, which I think are supposed to be considered a weed, but I find they're spectacular. And of course, you see the sunset. I'm sure you see the sunrise, but I've never been there for sunrise. But sunset's just tremendous on that.
I find so I've taken people up there when they're visiting Victoria so they can see the view.
Yeah, it's epic. It's 360. You really see all of Victoria, and it makes it look very small, but it's an epic view no matter which direction you're seeing. And we do the fireworks from Mount Doug as well.
Like of downtown Victoria?
Yeah. We don't hear all the wonderful music, but we also avoid the crowds. We just walk up, get to see the fireworks, go up there with her hot chocolate. And it's funny, my mother-in-law's birthday is on July 1st, so we always it's her fireworks. We take her up there and get to see her fireworks. So yeah, it's fun.
What about school? So we know each other because our kids went to school together. How was that? So the school is Victor Brodeur, which is in Esquimalt, and I guess we spent 5 or 6 years together. And your kids now go to Claremont, which is nearby. What do you think about the difference between each of those schools?
Well, I would never take it back to give my kids a second language and a third one if I could, but it was further away, and one of the things that they lost is that community feel of going to a school in the neighborhood and getting to know the kids in the neighborhood and being able to walk and bike to their friends. So we were sad to miss that, but the opportunity to learn, to really embed a second language was just too good to pass up. And Brodeur is a school that is a community. It really is a tight-knit community. And the friends that my sons made there are still their best friends, even though we haven't gone there in a few years. And they were, I felt like, very involved families, very involved parents. And so we really built a strong network. A lot of our friends now are people that we met through Brodeur, still that mom's group and stuff are still from that school. Having said that, I'm sure that there's a similar thing going on in different schools in different neighborhoods, but we were really happy with the community from École Brodeur. And for Claremont, now they have to walk 10 minutes and they're at school. They love that. They get up later. They don't have to worry about the bus and being late, and they're home much sooner. So that alone was a winning point for Claremont. My son's on the rugby team, and he's been doing they have a phys ed class that has PE, rugby concentrating. So it's been really good for him to have that physical outlet that he may not have had as much of at Brodeur. And it's a much bigger school with a more concentrated age group from 9 to grade 12. So he was really happy with getting to know so much more people. And they have lots of good programs and field trips and visiting other schools and having other schools visit them. And they have a Halloween fest that is really big, that brings in a lot of attention. So all of the students are involved in preparing for that. And so there's a lot of great community engagement at that school.
I find also, like, at if you compare Brodeur to Claremont, just the choice of all the activities that they have.
Yeah, I think because Brodeur has from kindergarten all the way to grade 12, it's such a span of ages that it's hard for them to bring certain groups together. There's just too much of a span. And so I think their strength is definitely academic, writing contests and math contests and exchange programs with foreign students. So that's their strength, but they really had a hard time getting groups of students, enough students to make clubs and groups and real after school programs. And of course, because we're not close, and any kind of after school activity wasn't going to be convenient for us. So yeah,
it's almost too bad. And I think strategically they made an error by asking the kids in grade 8, are you going to be coming back next year? I'm like, why did you even open that door?
we don't have to come back. What's the option? No, actually the big trigger for us was when I think grade 9, they go to what used to be Lamson, I believe. And so they have to walk to another school for their classes and then walk back to Brodeur for lunch and then walk back to the school. And that was, they didn't like the school as much. And they didn't like all of that walking around and having to go one class in one school. So that really spoiled it a bit for Benjamin. So he was the first one to leave. Gabriel stayed another year, but then he went to Royal Oak, and then now they're both at Claremont. So
I know the rowing coach at Royal Oak, by the way, if you want an in.
Yeah, they have great teams, and the rowing is so amazingly close, with Elk Lake being right across the highway. So that would have been a wonderful sport, but they ended up choosing judo. So they're in the Kokushikai Judo Club, and it's been an amazing it's just been an amazing input for them, for their values and their strength, and it's helped them with other sports. And that's a great little community. It's in Gordon Head for Kokushikai, and then there's another one at St. Margaret's School. So fairly close. That's the Victoria Judo Club, and so that's their big sport other than rugby.
So if you were to tell somebody moving here, and I know the stress of moving, like especially a work-related move. I do work with military people who are coming and they only have a week. Top 3 things about this area.
I'd say the fact that there's a bike path that goes all the way up north to Sydney and the airport area. There's same bike path goes all the way to the heart of downtown. So
Lochside Drive?
Yeah, that's right. And it's just parallel to Cordova Bay Road. So that it's a door, especially for, I have 2 teenage boys, so they love having that access to go in any direction. And I love the healthy side of that, having a bike path. And of course, walks on the beach we've done. I did that every morning to bring them to school for multiple years. And then they got old enough to walk themselves to the bus stop, and I got a little lazy. But I love going for the healthy walks on the beach. And it's such a long beach. It goes really in effect from Mount Doug all the way to Matic Farm. And if the tide's relatively low, you can really walk the whole length. So that's just amazing. That's a half a day.
Okay, and the third thing?
There's a close... everything's in third position, basically. But I love Matic Farm, and I love all of the paths. So basically, from here, Cordova Bay, it's a bit of it's a bay. It's very protected and isolated between Mount Doug. But there's also the Royal Oak Cemetery that's on the hill behind us, and the water reservoir. So it kind of goes up in every direction. And there's trails all along there that are just so quiet, and you have parks. So if you're just walking, all of a sudden you're in a park, and then you walk just a little bit further and you're in another park. So the trails to hike and walk are insane. And again, that's something I just discovered a year or two ago. And so when I go walking with the dog, any direction, and it's just nature all around you, even though you're in this bustling little development. So nature, health.
All right. So you've been given a great overview of what it's like to live in the Cordova Bay area. We're going to come back after our break, and Sophie's going to talk about her business, which is sophiephoto.com. If you're interested in becoming a guest, we'd love to have you. Please check out our website at vancouverislandtime.com, and at the bottom, click on Become a Guest. Take care, and we'll be right back.
Vancouver Island Time is brought to you by the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun, Victoria, where we bring local expertise and global presence to your property.
Hi, everybody. It's Jane Johnson with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun, and I'm here with Sophie Lecavalier of sophiephoto.com. And so how long have we known each other now?
I think it was, it's been, how old are the kids? 10 years almost.
And I met her in networking, and then it turns out our kids went to school together. And so what got you into photography in the first place? You were saying it's from age 11 you've been carrying a camera around.
Yeah, I got my first camera for my first communion. I don't even know if that happens anymore, but I just, I love the idea. I couldn't draw or anything, but I love the idea of being able to do something artistic. So I just picked it up right away, loved it. And I really got further into it when I started traveling with Air Canada as a flight attendant with a camera. I had it on my hip all the time, and I really got to have amazing opportunities for landscapes and just beautiful cityscapes. So that was an amazing opportunity. And then when I had my kids, well, that just took it up a notch, right? You have kids, you want to photograph, they're adorable. So that was definitely, can I possibly get a better camera? And the first digital cameras were coming out when my kids were born. So there's like a 2 megapixel horrible camera was our first digital camera. And it's gotten better ever since. So when the kids finally went to school, then my husband was like, okay, well, going back to work and being a flight attendant and out of town was just not an option. So we made the big leap to start our business here out of the home. So.
And with a lot of entrepreneurs, it's like a question of giving up something that's, tangible and steady, and then making the leap in entrepreneurship. How was that for you? Was it scary?
It really was, because I didn't have formal photography training, nor did I have formal business training. So it took me a little bit of time to think I could even be allowed to start a business. I thought it was crazy. But my parents were both entrepreneurs, and so it was a way of life for us. So I really didn't look at it too closely. I just took one step ahead of the other and kept going and kept solving problems. And I think being an entrepreneur is mostly about solving problems well and quickly.
And it's about being creative in the problem solving.
Yeah, exactly. Creativity, finding really good solutions where your clients are happy, but you're still being happy with what you're doing. So a great combination of that. So the first little bit was definitely feeling like a fraud and not really being super shocked anytime anybody called me for photographs. But But people are amazing. And if you're upfront with what you can offer and you know what you are and you represent yourself well, you can do really well. And as my skills developed and my business got better, my clients kind of got better. And I got, that need for an ideal client is so important, because then you do your best work and they're extremely happy with the work. And then they talk about you. And it's just such a beautiful...
I don't think I've had any photos taken, but I love following you on Facebook and Instagram.
You sent me a lot of clients, a lot of families, a lot of families with newborns are my clients because you sent them my way. So
she does an amazing thing. We're going to go through her photos so you can see just how cute they are. They're adorable. And now you're kind of changing your focus a bit.
Well, families and newborns are always going to be a huge part of what I do. I can't imagine letting them go, but when you photograph a newborn, the studio has to be at 80 degrees. It's very, very warm, and I will, get in a little ball and hold like bums and feet and heads and just shush them for like 10 minutes in this really awkward position. And it's a very physical...
You're in the awkward position. The baby's lying there.
I think we're both in awkward positions, but the baby's got to tush up. And it's those special poses that you need the professional photographer for. And so my clients come to see me because they want those really special shots. And it has to be done safely. But there's a lot of patience involved in that. And so we will have to wait for babies to fall asleep and in just such a position. And so, there's a lot of hot yoga basically in my studio going on. And though I love it, I'm not sure that in 10 years I'm going to be. So there was a bit of that kind of long-term planning. So 2019 is going to be a lot about adding a new service to the business while still doing newborns and families, in an effort to market myself to my clients, let people know that I exist. I learned about video and the power of video, and it's been on my to-do list for a long time. So incorporating video just seemed like a natural transition. And since I was learning everything about marketing my own business, I knew that I could do that for others. So that's a service I'll be adding.
So who's your ideal client?
New businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, just businesses of one, small businesses, home businesses that want to get started showing who they are and what they do and all the passion and love and effort that goes into what they're creating and how that affects their clients. And so that, to me, it's a story. It's a story worth telling. And it's usually what will help your client understand whether they're the right fit for you or not. So we all need certain services, but we're all hesitant. Is this the right fit for me? I don't want to waste my time and money. And so the more you get inside someone's business and get to know them, the better you know whether they're the right fit or not.
It's like Simon Sinek talks about finding your why.
Yeah, exactly. It's finding your why. It's the story of you, your values, why you do what you do. There's a lot of photographers out there. There's even a lot of newborn photographers. But if my clients get to know how it feels to be in my studio, how much care and attention I put into putting their children at ease, there is a comfort in knowing that. And that is how I do it. And another person will do it differently. And so you connect to who you feel has similar values. And I have a very relaxed approach to photography, and I love those candid shots. So some people can see that in the photographs that I show, but you never see it as much as when you have a behind the scenes of a photo shoot. So those are things that are important glimpses, and the video is definitely the future of marketing. And so I've known all along that I was going to get into that, but I think I like being behind the camera better than in front of it. So
I told her this was a bit of empathy training.
Yeah. You know what? You make things very comfortable. And in the process of learning about video marketing and putting yourself out there, I had to make my own, overcome my own barriers of self-doubt and physical, putting yourself down. Some of us really shy away from being in front of a camera so much that it becomes this huge ordeal when really it's no different than standing to all of you who should be in front of the camera but aren't. Just do it. So the first things I did was just have a phone like this in front of a window and I rant a lot. Jane knows this. So I ranted on my phone and my camera, and there are some cringeworthy moments for sure. But then when you get past it and you think the passion, the value of what's being communicated always shines beyond whatever physical. We don't need to all look like Ariana Grande or...
I think also people don't want to see you being perfect. What I've noticed a mistake people make is that they only show themselves. Like I really... I shoot a selfie now to be with other people to capture the moment. But to be honest, the video is more about you than me. Like the whole point of this is to showcase the guest, right?
It's true. And again, you're telling stories. You're telling stories of people in locations. I mean, it's a brilliant thing that you're doing, by the way. I was just waking up, describing it to someone else and thinking, that's genius, because people love stories. That's how we've been communicating any kind of information for centuries. It's how we learn. It's memorable, and it matters. Stories matter. So to tell the story of a person and then where they live and how it impacts them, and then people can relate. So it's just brilliant.
Have you watched many? Do you find them too long, or is it dependent on the person I'm interviewing?
Yeah, I think because there's such a saturation of information online and we have so little time, we're very discerning about what we'll watch. What I find is that if you're in the market to move to Victoria or to move into a different area of Victoria, then these videos are priceless. They're little gems because they're not a marketing ploy to force people into one place or another. They're just people's opinions of where they live. And people want to know that if they're going to decide where to move to. So I think that in that case, then the video is not too long. It's not boring at all because it's really priceless information that you can't seem to get anywhere else. So in that, I find that fantastic. And as far as the business side, then that's of value to the person you're interviewing. So it's a great additional benefit. And again, if you're in the market for whatever that person is doing,
photography,
newborn and family photography, then it's an additional insight in getting to know that person and going, that person is absolutely intolerable. I never want to work with her. Or alternately, I'd feel comfortable right away with that person. So
who is your ideal client? For your branding videos and stuff like that.
Okay. For the newborn, it's obvious. Mom's expecting, third trimester. We start with the maternity photography and just kind of grow with my families. For the branding, again, I'm looking for entrepreneurs who are just at the beginning of their journey. My hope is for people to grow bigger than me. I want to be there for the first parts, the walking through. So I love helping people get their clarity. A lot of process of the video has to be done before the video, the planning, the thinking. And I'm just really good at finding people's stories, the stories that are worth sharing. Some people love what they do, but they don't understand how valuable they are until they get to talk about it and answer certain questions. So that to me is almost like candy. I'm not even working when I get to do that for people. So
how long does it take to do the photography session? I know there's a lot of prep. So do you give them a questionnaire ahead of time and then follow up with is it like a full day?
No, so we have different packages, but I usually like starting smaller so people get a good idea, because you don't quite understand the full value of what it can be until you've done it once. And then it gets your creative juices flowing as to, oh, I can use this. Oh, we could take this photograph. And now they're far more prepared on the second session than the first one. So usually the first one is a half day. I do have a questionnaire, and we do talk about their ideal client, what their message is, because to take photographs that they don't use because it's just they don't know how or where is too disappointing. It's just a waste of time and effort. So we make sure we understand where they're going to use their images, what they want to share, do they want just a glimpse into their lives, or do they have a very specific message they want to send? And we try to find that out and be as specific. And again, that branding is to bring value to their clients without asking too much in return, just a like or a follow or an email address to start with and then grow.
Is that so? Are you using video and still photography?
Yeah, they seem to go hand in hand. At first, it was just going to be photography and just continuing what I do, what I've been doing for the last 8 years. But I have all the same equipment to take a photograph as I do for a video. And sometimes there's just so much more to say than can go in a photograph. So it's become the photographs are more the supporting content, whereas the real content is the story that we tell in the video.
I really like the perspective of the side, like if you have the camera on the side and somebody's telling you the story and you realize that you're really looking deep into their soul.
Because you're talking to a real person instead of straight into the camera, it's more real. It's more of a relationship. It's more of a dialogue than just, teaching to the camera. So I love that aspect as well. It's simple, but sometimes some smaller businesses need to educate. For example, for me, a series on how to prepare for your branding session is just a must, right? So that's in the works right now, is to have a video, and that's educational. And so it's really just straight onto the camera. So it doesn't have to be complicated.
So what have been people's responses to your photos? Has anyone cried?
Yeah, actually, that's my goal. I always, when my clients go, oh my God, I looked at the gallery and I was crying, I'm like, awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. And they're shocked. No, seriously. To me, it's exactly when you're telling one of the most important stories there is, which is a family. It's a funny thing because I feel like sometimes it's going to be 15 years when they have teenage boys that are taller than them, like we do, that they're really going to appreciate taking photographs of those tiny newborns that just fit in their arms still. And even more in 30 years when those kids are having children, that they're going to be the quality of the images that you get from a professional photographer that you can share now with your kids and grandkids. The value of it, I have to be kind of patient to really get the full value of it. But I know that the story that is to start a family is just really the most important, the most valuable story that's worth telling. So to be part of that is just exceptional. And to see the reaction in families and grandparents that get to see those photographs is just so rewarding.
The other thing I've found is often they don't know what I'm giving them when I give them the gift of working with you. And it's, I know a few people who haven't taken advantage of it, which is too bad. But anyway, hopefully. And those who have
a voucher from Jane, just call. We'll make it work.
Well, the other thing is what other people have said to me is, I wish I'd done this earlier.
Yeah, I did a baby fair a couple of years in a row, and you'd see people walking by the table and go, ugh, they'd have older kids. There's one thing I regret is not doing the newborn photographs. And I just wanted to grab them and record them, say that again. But it's true. I hear that a lot. Either they come with their second child or, they sent their friends because they didn't do it themselves, but they bought a voucher for their friends. It's like, go, do it.
So how do people get in touch with you?
My website is sophiephoto.com, and I have my phone number plastered everywhere. And
what is it?
It's 250-661-2558.
And email?
Email is sophie@sophiephoto.com. Simple. And I have a Pinterest page with Sophie Photo as well, which is filled with inspiration and great pregnancy tips and parenting tips. And I always send that out to serve my clients and just... Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're interested, get in touch with Sophie. If you want to know more about the Cordova Bay area, get in touch with me. I'm Jane Johnston with the Bar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. And I just want to say I encourage you've heard it from Sophie, it's a very relaxing process being interrogated by me.
Good job there.
And so you can go to VancouverIslandTime.com and at the bottom click on Be a Guest and we will be in touch with you. That's the best way to reach us. All right. And if you want to follow us, we're on Vancouver Island Time on the internet. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And if you listen to podcasts, just find your favorite one. We're on there as well. at Vancouver Island Time. Take care. Have a great day, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Welcome to the neighborhood. We hope you have had some insight into West Coast living. If you know of someone or someplace that should be highlighted in our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Please go to VancouverIslandTime.com and click on our Connect button. See you next week on Vancouver Island Time with Jane Johnston.